What's good, fam? Kendrick Lamar just ran back not like a 6 times in a row for a stadium full of people. This performance turned a rap beef into a cultural eviction that Drake will never recover from because the whole city showed up to watch it happen. The Kia Forum was shaken on June 19, 2024, as Kendrick hosted the Pop Out Ken and Friends concert. It was a Juneteenth celebration of West Coast unity that we have not seen in many decades. When Dot performed that diss track 6 times in a row, the energy turned into a live remix that unified rival gang members and artists on one stage.
We got a bond that you can't manufacture it, you can't buy it, you got to go through it. I always said we was constructive and not destructive, even though we was living in a destructive neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
We cannot buy a moment like this with all his industry connections or billboard numbers. The whole night felt like a complete cultural takeover. None of that mattered because this victory is something that industry power cannot replicate. The biggest moment of the show happened when Dr. Dre made a surprise appearance to whisper that famous "I See Dead People" intro. This gave the track a cosign that ended the debate. Having Dre there was the ultimate stamp of approval from the architect of the West Coast sound. The result was that it proved the foundation is standing firmly behind Kendrick, while Drake is left shouting into the void from a lonely mansion all the way in Toronto. Kendrick took a minute to give a heavy speech about making it home, and that was a direct shot at Drake, claiming Dot isn't outside or connected to his community.
We don't need you anymore. That's one of the stories.
Compton, California.
Compton, California for you. Yeah, actually, it's crazy. When I was coming home, they say when I was in the car seat coming from the hospital, my pops was playing this really loud. My mom's was like, turn that shit down. He was like, no, let him hear it.
By standing there with every set in the city behind him, Kendrick proved he owns the territory that Drake will never touch. The streets have made their choice about who is really outside. Critics are calling this event the end of the feud because it showed that Kendrick has the actual people and the soul of the culture on his side. This was a massacre that took place on Juneteenth. What nobody expected was that it proved being like us is something you are born into, and you cannot manufacture this feeling with a budget and a social media team. Kendrick did the impossible by bringing everyone under one roof to celebrate the downfall of his rival. If you thought that concert was the finish line, you were tripping because the visual execution going down in Compton right now is way more savage.
And here's our records was a safe distance where you could visit Compton from a safe distance.
During the weekend of June 22nd and 23rd, 2024, Kendrick was spotted across the city filming the official music video for Not Like Us alongside director Dave Free. Leaked footage from the set has already blown up because it shows Kendrick and a pack of local kids smashing a piñata shaped exactly like that OVO owl. This is a literal destruction of Drake's whole brand identity right in the middle of the street. This isn't just a creative choice. It is a visual RICO being served to Drake's image, telling the next generation that the owl is something to be dismantled rather than respected. They set up shop at Tam's Burgers number 21, a Compton staple Kendrick mentioned in the lyrics, which grounds the whole diss track in a geography Drake could never safely touch.
Definitely grew up in Tams and right. This dude right here is really doing his research though. This is crazy. Yeah, Tams and Rite Aid. I get the chili cheese fries.
And what about at the Rite Aid?
Watching Kendrick move through his neighborhood with that much love and protection makes Drake's corporate persona look incredibly fragile and isolated. They even shot scenes at the Compton courthouse, adding a layer of symbolic, legal finality to the story. Almost like Kendrick is putting Drake on trial in front of the whole world. The video is looking like a victory lap that uses the entire community as a shield and a weapon against the sixth god. Losing a rap battle on the radio is one thing, but it is a whole different level of embarrassment when neighborhood kids are taking swings at your logo in broad daylight. Kendrick is basically evicting Drake from the culture by showing he has no place in the rituals of the streets that actually define hip-hop.
I always said we was constructive and not destructive, even though we was living in a destructive neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
This visual remix is a definitive statement that the OVO era is being dismantled piece by piece, and the receipts are being printed in the heart of Compton for everyone to see. Having Dave Free behind the camera adds another layer of disrespect, especially after those weird rumors Drake tried to spread during the beef. Kendrick is staying quiet on social media and letting the imagery talk. And right now that imagery says Drake is officially unwelcome in the spaces that matter most to the genre. This isn't just a music video, it is a public record of total defeat. And the way Kendrick uses his hometown to lock in this win shows he is playing chess while Drake is still trying to figure out the rules.
Early in the game, when I was You know, still young, still not really sure how far it was gonna take me. I made a vow to myself that I wouldn't let the game change me. That I was just gonna be myself no matter from the clubhouse to corporate.
We are watching the permanent removal of an outsider from the culture, and Kendrick is making sure every single person in Compton gets a front row seat to the eviction. The disrespect reached a whole new level when the former face of the Toronto Raptors showed up on set to finish the job. Seeing DeMar DeRozan standing there in Compton with Kendrick is a massive blow to Drake, mainly because that man was the king of Toronto basketball for years. DeMar is a Compton native through and through, but he was also the heart and soul of the Raptors before they traded him, and Drake used to treat him like family at every OVO fest. Now we see him on the set of the biggest Drake diss in history, which signifies a symbolic defection from the OVO orbit that nobody saw coming.
Ali, this Ali, J-Rock, A-Mac, Dave Free, Soundwave, Absol.
That lyric where Kendrick said he was glad DeMar came home because Toronto didn't deserve him hits 10 times harder now that we have the visual proof. This move proves Kendrick's reach is extending deep into the NBA and sports culture, which are areas where Drake used to have massive influence and control. The betrayal narrative gets amplified by the fact that DeRozan was a staple at Drake's events for a long time. So seeing him flip sides shows that even people with deep ties to the Six are siding with Kendrick's authentic West Coast energy. Drake has always tried to use his proximity to athletes to make himself look untouchable, but when the most respected player in Raptors history stands in a Compton parking lot to watch you get cooked, the optics are terrible. It shows the loyalty Drake thought he bought with courtside seats and shoutouts was never as deep as the respect Kendrick has by just being a real one from the soil. DeMar's presence on that set basically told the world that you can spend a decade representing a city, but real recognize real, and he chose to stand with his own people. This defection might be the most personal part of the whole video shoot because it strips away one of Drake's favorite shields and shows his influence in the sports world is starting to crumble.
It's fun to make records. It's fun to be in the studio with your homies, coming up with shit. It's fun to get on stage. The business part sucks.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's always a lesson. It's always awkward.
Everyone is out here chasing leaks and hoping for a studio remix, but the music videos and live shows are the real updates, keeping this track at the top. Variety published an interview on June 21st of 2024 where the producer DJ Mustard dropped some facts that make the OVO camp look even worse. He admitted that he had no idea Kendrick was using that beat for a Drake diss until the song was almost done, showing how natural this entire moment was. This was not some corporate strategy cooked up in a boardroom, but a West Coast legend catching a vibe and creating a weapon that caught Drake completely off guard. Seeing Mustard at the video shoot and the pop-out concert proves the entire West Coast industry is standing behind Kendrick and protecting their territory. Forbes reported a few days ago that the song is still dominating the charts and generating millions of dollars for Kendrick, while Drake continues to spiral. Kendrick is out here collecting massive checks and filming victory laps in the California sun, while Drake is buried under legal appeals and 117-page filings against UMG and Kendrick. It is a wild contrast because one man is celebrating with his city while the other is hiring lawyers to fix a reputation that has already been burnt to the ground. Having Mustard on that set sends a message that California is a unified front that Drake cannot break with money or Instagram posts.
We got a bond that you can't manufacture it, you can't buy it, you got to go through it.
This record has evolved into a full cultural movement fueled by the same people who created the sound Drake has been trying to borrow for a decade. Mustard provided the canvas with that beat, but the way the city is coming together shows that the West Coast is officially closed for business. The song is still sitting at #1 while Drake fights it in court, and that tells you exactly who the fans have picked as the winner. Kendrick is letting the fans in the streets act as the remix, which is a way more effective move than just recording another 32 bars in a booth. We are watching a masterclass in how to dismantle a brand by staying authentic, and no legal team can draft a response as loud as the silence Kendrick is giving him while he films his next project in the city. The real story is that Kendrick has moved beyond simple rap disses and into a full cultural eviction where Drake is no longer welcome in the community. When you get kicked out of a house, you can't even go back to get your furniture. And that is exactly what is happening to Drake's reputation right now. People have called Drake a culture vulture for years, but Kendrick just turned that observation into a permanent status within the music industry. By standing on that stage and taking his message to Compton, Kendrick is proving that you have to actually belong to this culture instead of just buying a subscription.
Early in the game, when I was You know, still young, still not really sure how far it was gonna take me. I made a vow to myself that I wouldn't let the game change me. That I was just gonna be myself no matter from the clubhouse to corporate.
Drake is losing all his honorary passes and his invitations to the cookout because the fans have decided he doesn't represent what hip hop is actually about. This is a massive shift in power since we used to think streaming stats were the only thing that mattered, but Kendrick just proved the streets still have the final say. Drake might have the money and the global reach, but he doesn't have the zip codes. And that is a gap he will never bridge no matter how many accents he tries to use. Before we move on and see how Kendrick uses the next generation to bury the OVO brand for good, tell me what y'all think. Is Drake officially banned from the cookout forever, or can those streaming numbers still save him? Tell me in the comments, no cap. While you at it, like and subscribe, and let's get into how Kendrick is teaching the youth that the owl is nothing but a target. The most savage part of this entire visual rollout is how Kendrick uses the next generation to show everyone that Drake is officially done. By bringing those local kids out to smash that OVO owl Piñata, he is telling the youth that the Drake brand is officially lame. This move ensures the next wave of fans grows up seeing that owl as a target instead of a status symbol. When you lose the kids, you lose the future. And Kendrick is dismantling the OVO legacy before it can even take root in the next generation. Teaching children that a corporate brand is just a piñata is the ultimate disrespect because it turns a multi-million-dollar identity into a game for a block party.
I always said we was constructive and not destructive, even though we was living in a destructive neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
Being associated with Drake is becoming a social liability in the very neighborhoods that decide what stays cool in music. Kendrick is essentially making sure the youth know exactly who is real and who is just a certified industry plant. Including kids in this beef is nasty work, but it is the most effective way to make sure a brand stays buried for good. While Kendrick has these community celebrations, Drake is stuck in a room with lawyers drafting a 117-page legal appeal against UMG and Kendrick. Trying to litigate your way back into being liked by the fans is the ultimate corporate tantrum. Drake claims the song was boosted by bots or that the label rigged the game, but it sounds like pure coke compared to the energy of the pop-out. One man is eating burgers at Tam's and filming hits with his neighbors, while the other man hides behind high-priced attorneys to save his royalties.
It's fun to make records. It's fun to be in the studio with your homies, coming up with shit. It's fun to get on stage. The business part sucks.
I don't like it.
It's always a lesson. It's always awkward.
The contrast is clear because one move is fueled by unity, while the other is driven by corporate greed and a bruised ego. Drake trying to sue his way out of a loss is the least hip-hop move in history and shows he does not understand the rules of the house. You cannot sue the streets for not liking your music, and you cannot file an injunction against the whole city for booing you. People are still asking for a new verse or a remix, but this new reality is the actual remix we are witnessing. The real remix is seeing rival sets in Compton standing together on camera for a Kendrick Lamar music video. It is seeing a Toronto legend like DeMar DeRozan choose his hometown roots over his industry friendships. We are watching Drake become a permanent outsider in the genre he tried to dominate for over a decade. He is being pushed to the pop charts while the core hip-hop community moves on without him. I predict that when this music video finally drops, it will be the single most watched event of 2024 and end the debate.
We got a bond that you can't manufacture it, you can't buy it, you got to go through it.
Kendrick is not just winning a battle, he is showing that authenticity still has the power to take down the biggest machine in the world. The West Coast has officially closed its borders to the OVO movement, and these visuals are the receipts that will live forever in history. Before we move on to see how Drake tries to respond, tell me if you think he is officially banned from the West Coast. I want to know if you think he can still buy his way back into the culture, or if Kendrick went too far with the kids. Tell me your thoughts in the comments with no cap, and make sure you like and subscribe for more breakdowns of these beefs. The energy is at an all-time high, and we are going to be right here to cover every single shot fired in this war. Kendrick just showed us that the crown is about who the people stand behind when the smoke finally clears. Drake looks more isolated by the day, while Kendrick is surrounded by a city that is ready to go to war for him. This is the end of an era and the beginning of a new one where being like us actually means something. Kendrick Lamar just executed the most successful cultural eviction in history, and that OVO owl will never look the same again.